Well, hello and welcome. We're here today to look at how to write an 8-bar melody using a chord sequence which you can replicate in any key. The first thing that we're going to look at is the overall structure of the harmony. At the end of our first 4-bar phrase, we're going to have an imperfect cadence ending in chord 5. And in the second phrase, we're going to end with a perfect cadence with chord 5 followed by chord 1. That's the first point of structure I want to make. At the end of the first phrase, an imperfect cadence ending in chord 5, and at the end of the second phrase, a perfect cadence ending with chord 5 followed by chord 1. I prepared a chord sequence which uses chord 5 at the end of the first phrase and chords 5 and 1 at the end of the second phrase, so that we can start from there. I've chosen chord 1, then 4, then 2, then 5 for the first half. And then for the second phrase, chord 6, then chord 4, then chord 5, then chord 1. So this gives us 2 equal 4-bar phrases. It's quite important to have a balance between the 2 phrases, ending in an imperfect cadence and ending in a perfect cadence. We're now going to go on and write our melody from this chord sequence. From each of the chords, I've chosen 2 melody notes. I've done that for each of the chords apart from the last one in each line, because at the end of a phrase you want to have a resting point, you want the music to stop. So I've chosen from the first bar the notes C and E to make up my melody. And because I've chosen notes that are from the chord, I know that the melody and the harmony will fit together. I've continued this for the whole of the first line. C and E, then F and A, then D and F, and then G. And this is the order in which I've put it. So that's my first line. You'll have noticed that I put F before D just because I thought it flowed better. I'll just play the melody by itself without the harmony. You can see that by itself the melody at this stage is pretty boring. It's very predictable, it's very 4-square, but we're going to make it more interesting later on. The second half of the melody, I deliberately linked together the first and the 5th bar so that the melody sounds the same, although the harmony is different. C and E are the notes I've chosen, and then again F and A, so that the melody from the first 2 bars is copied into bars 5 and 6. Here then is the melody the whole way through, starting at the beginning. There's my melody all the way through. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at how to develop the melody so that it is not quite so 4-square and predictable. We're going to do this by adding passing notes and other decorations. I'm going to show you how I develop the first 2 bars in some detail, and then I'll show you my example. On the keyboard, between C and E, there is one note that is in the scale which we haven't used, which is D. And I'm going to use D as a passing note. I'm going to pass between C and E via D. So instead of having a melody that goes, my new melody will go. Not a huge difference, but if I do that in each of the bars, then we get a much more flowing melody. In the second bar, F and A is the melody, and I'm going to add a G in between as a passing note. Now we're going to look at how I do that for the whole of the melody to make it more decorated. In this version I've written the melody out with gaps in between, and we're going to add our passing notes as we go along. We've already talked about having a D in between C, D and E, and a G in between F and A. In between F and D I've got E, so I'm going to use E there. At the end of the line, I'm not going to have any passing notes or decoration because I want the music to come to a stop at the imperfect cadence. In the second line, I'm going to do something very similar to the top line because we want bars 1 and 2 to be similar to 5 and 6. So again, C, D, E, F, G, A, and then to finish off with, instead of just having G, A, B, I'm going to have G, A, G, A, B to make it a little bit more interesting. So G, A, G, A, B, and then we finish with a C. Here's the melody through without the accompaniment, so you can hear what it sounds like. You can hear that already, whilst it still sounds quite predictable, the melody is beginning to flow. Here's the melody now with the accompaniment. Hopefully you can hear that we've developed a melody there, which with a little bit more work and a little bit more rhythmic interest would be something that we could cope with listening to and doesn't sound too boring. You can apply the same principles in any key, of course, that you choose. And if we go back to our very first slide, if you were to take this opening pattern of beginning with chord 1 and ending in bar 4 with chord 5 and having 5-1 at the end and filling in here and here 2 chords from 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6, almost in any combination this will sound a reasonable melody. If you follow the same principles that we've worked through, you'll be able to produce your own melody. I hope you've enjoyed our time together today.